and I know that you're all here for that. Before we start, we have one candidate who is missing, and I'm very sad about it, and that is Danny Alvarez. And I'd like for us to take a moment of silence in honor and memory of Danny. Thank you. I think he would have been a great asset. Not that Tanisha, not that you're not a great asset, but I think he would have been a great asset to our court system. I'm Roz Fishman. I'm president of the Old Louisville Democrat Club. This is Michelle James, who is vice president of the Old Louisville Democrat Club. Gary Levitt, who is with Knesset Israel Men's Club and has provided all the food and drinks. Thank you. Bless you.
Thank you.
And then he gets the class. And then we have Bill Shorey, who is our moderator, who's with Wave. I'd also like to thank the following clubs that are participating. Democrat clubs, Allwood and York White. We have someone here from that right in the back, president. Floyd's Fork Democrat Club, which is a brand new club. Metro Dems Club, Most Green, Okolona Democrat Club, Louisville Democrat Club, Women's Democratic Club, and Young Democrats. So we're doing it a little bit different today. There are some judges who, for whatever reason, were unable to attend. So we're going to go ahead and allow those judge candidates who have no opponent here to speak and ask questions first. However, Tanisha, if you'll come up, Tanisha is going to not answer questions so much as she's going to make a statement because of the situation. So I'm turning it over to you, Tanisha.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Hello.
Oh, that was terrible. I'm trying to get you hyped for the rest of the panel. Thank you. And my name is Tanisha Ann Hickerson, and I'm the candidate running in District Court, Jefferson County District Court, Division 9. Still a little bit about myself. I'm born and raised right here in Louisville. I'm a product of two parents who taught us the importance of hard work, treating others with respect, and definitely the importance of education. So I'm a proud graduate of Central High School where I was valedictorian, and I always still say that because I had actually graduated and got to carry my daughter on my hip because she was about to turn 1. And my daughter is now about to graduate in May from University of Louisville. So I'm very proud of her, very proud of that. I see you got throwing the L's up, I see it. But it's a testament to the type of hard worker I am, a testament to the judgment and to the type of compassion I'm going to bring to the court. I'm very excited about this new endeavor. I definitely carry a certain torch, which I'm proud to carry. Danny Alvarez is the reason why I stand alone on the ballot, but I am not alone because I know he is still here with us. And I'm sure he's probably chuckled a little bit about it, and I look forward to having a picture of him and I that we took on the campaign trail together in my office because he would not let us be true sense opponents because we were fighting for the same thing. We were fighting for justice, and we were fighting for fairness, and we were definitely fighting to diversify the court system. As you all know, in Jefferson County District Court, there are 17 judges, and there is 1 person of color. And we know that that's not reflective of the community in which we serve. So I still stand before everyone in our community committed to the very charge that I started when I started this race back in November of last year. We're almost there, guys. And that is that I am the right voice to break down barriers and to truly build the bridges that our community needs. I have the vision of unity and respect and togetherness that we are so needing right now. And I am the right vote for our community. So I still ask that you flip over the ballot, find the Division 9 race, find the name Tanisha Ann Hickerson, and I would appreciate your support. And thank you again.
here tonight, and I want to thank Vanessa Israel and the Old Louisville Democrats for having me back. I understand it was largely because I looked so awesome in a yarmulke. And lots of comments on Facebook.
Your favorite too.
It's very nice. I want to go over the format. We have a small enough group here we can move probably a little bit more informally, but we're going to begin with a number of candidates whose opponents are not with us tonight. We will invite each of them to make a 1-minute introduction. I will ask each of those candidates 3 questions, and we will close with the same question for every candidate this evening, give them an opportunity to answer that one, and that will also serve as your closing statement. As I move through the questions, I will alternate which candidate, when we move to the races where there are 2 candidates, I will alternate which candidate we begin with. Each candidate will have 2 minutes to answer each question. You'll both have the opportunity to answer each question. If you would like to have an additional rebuttal, after both candidates have spoken, we'll allow 1 minute for that rebuttal. Just raise your hand and let me know that you would like an opportunity to have a rebuttal to your opponent's answer on that. Michelle James is going to keep time for us here. Please. And we need to applaud for Michelle and of course for Roz. If everybody remembers from the last time in April, what happens when someone makes reference to Roz? There will be plenty of those tonight.
She's like, thank you, thank you.
Please do observe the time limits. Michelle, halfway through, whether we are on a 2-minute or a 1 minute, halfway through we'll hold up the yellow sheet. Hold that up, Michelle. And when you have 15 seconds remaining, she will hold up the red sheet. My daughter actually fulfilled this role at a JCPS forum that we did recently, and was deathly serious about it. So Michelle, you have big shoes.
I'm nervous. I don't know.
As you know. We will again close with the same question for everyone to answer, and we ask everyone to be civil throughout our event tonight. So we are going to begin with one of the candidates whose opponent is not here, and that is in Family Court Division 10, and Emily DeGenis. We're going to ask you to kick us off this evening.
Thank you.
So we will give you 1 minute to introduce yourself, and then we'll move on to questions.
I don't get the other minute that he doesn't have. So.
You do not. All of us get that minute.
Good evening. Thank you so much for having me. My name is Emily Maria DeGenis, and I'm running for Division 10, Family Court. So Family Court deals with some of the most complex and tragic issues that face families: child abuse, child neglect, divorce, domestic violence, and these are really serious issues. I've been an attorney for over 25 years, and during my tenure as a trial commissioner, I dealt with these matters on a nightly basis. So from the hours of 11 p.m. to 7 in the morning, I issued protective orders for victims of domestic violence and also for our most vulnerable victims, children of neglect and abuse. I was proud to say that I was a staff attorney on Family Court when at its inception. I'm sorry, what is that? Okay, good. It has no number on it. At its inception, when it was a pilot program here in Jefferson County, and I was responsible for writing and researching those decisions. So I'm familiar with the law, I'm familiar with the court, I'm familiar with the system. I'm also very passionate about children and how they go through the family court system, and I want to make a difference. My parents are teachers who taught me to give back to the community, service over self, to be a servant's heart, and that's what I intend to do. You all have the ability to vote for the judicial bench, so I ask that you vote for Emily Maria DeGenis on November 6th by flipping over the ballot. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. We'll begin by getting specific on something that you raised in your statement there. Our John Bull and others have reported on the high caseload in the foster care system and how that can sometimes have tragic consequences. What specifically can you do as a family court judge to help make sure children in state care don't fall through the cracks?
So I think that is a tragedy. I mean, we have over 8,500 children in foster care right now in Kentucky alone. I think it's important that we do our best. I know there's a new law, House Bill 1, that affords an expedited way to get children through the foster care system and get them for their forever home. As far as the judge is concerned, I think it's important that we look at what's in the best interest of a child and to ensure that we make sure that we have the best people adopting those children through the foster care system.
Right. Many indigent people appear pro se in family court. How will you ensure meaningful access for everyone to family court, regardless of their ability to pay?
So pro se litigants pose a very interesting problem for a lot of people in the sense that, you know, we have people that can't afford to have attorneys, and so we try to help them get attorneys. I mean, there are services available to them through legal aid. I know that there is also the Ackerson Mediation Clinic that involves. I know that the LBA provides pro bono. It's good to admonish a pro se client or litigant to try to get representation because you want them to have the best protection when they come to court from overreaching attorneys. I would say that you try to make it as best as possible for those pro se litigants by preventing overreaching attorneys from maybe having hearsay problems. But I think it's important that we treat every person with civility and the respect that they deserve. But I would definitely recommend that they either get legal aid or help them to get that so that they have the best representation possible.
What about qualifications for running for judge? What are your thoughts on the current minimums, and do those represent adequate qualification to be a judge?
Well, I believe that you have to have people who have the experience, as I do, the 25 years as an attorney, and also for logging many hours as a staff attorney sitting on the bench with a multitude of family court judges. I do believe that you have to have the judicial temperament that's involved to have a judge on the bench. It's important to have someone who is able to treat everybody with respect and decency. I do think the qualifications of being a judge involve many things, the ability to treat people not only with respect, but also to be able to make a determination and make that decision in a fair and objective manner. I think it's important to have somebody who's on the bench who can make a decision, because as somebody who's gone through family court myself as a litigant, it was difficult at best to wait for decisions that went on and on and on that we never got, and that's a difficulty for children. You can't have children eat retroactively, as I say. So it's important to have someone who has that ability to be organized, to be effective, to be determinative, and to be objective and fair.
All right, I'm going to give you the opportunity to answer the question that we'll ask at the end of each session that we have tonight. This will also serve as your closing statement. What's a single thing that can improve the justice system in Jefferson County the most? How will you bring that about?
In family court particularly?
In the entire justice system, but obviously you may want to address family court specifically.
Well, right now, I do think that there is a problem. There is no place in Jefferson County to have supervised visitation, and I think that is a travesty in and of itself. After Children's Family Place lost its funding for supervised visitation, right now we only have safe exchanges through the Home of the Innocents, thank goodness for them. But I think that should be addressed quite readily. I think another problem is making sure that, as you refer to pro se litigants who perhaps don't have the cultural or the language barriers that they may have, to make sure that we have, AOC has a loophole that doesn't prevent an interpreter to come in. They only allow them to meet with confer with their clients inside the courtroom. And I think that's a problem because that doesn't afford them an opportunity to really get to know that client, help understand that client, help translate for that client. So I'd like to see that loophole sort of closed as well. And the third would probably be, it's a travesty that in the courthouse where you have the alleged abuser and the victims, alleged victims, sitting in the same area at the courthouse. It would be nice to be able physically, at least, to have an area where they could at least be separated from them as well.
All right, thank you very much. We appreciate you being here. I appreciate you not asking for 1 minute to rebut yourself. And we are going to move on to District Court, Division 3. And Tracy Davis is the only candidate that will be with us here tonight. All right, again, we're going to give you 1 minute to introduce yourself and talk about your platform.
Good evening. My name is Tracy Davis. I'm running for District Court Judge in Division 3. That is an open seat. The judge that sits there now has decided to retire at the end of this term, which will be December 31st. Currently, I practice in the areas of criminal law, family law. I'm in circuit court. I'm in district court. I do bankruptcy, so I'm in federal courts at times. I practice in Jefferson County, Hardin County, Bullitt County, Anderson County, Casey County, you name it. If there is a need for litigation, Tracy Davis will go there and litigate on her client's behalf. I decided to run for judge just because when the seat became open and I was thinking about it, the one thing that I wanted to see more of in the district court arena was compassion, understanding. There's so many different complex issues that come before the district court bench. So many different walks of life, and I think that it's important that each and every litigant that comes in the courtroom is understood, is heard, and is treated with compassion and dignity, and as the person that's rendering those decisions has the ability to know when it's time to render grace and mercy, and when there's a time where justice needs to be ensued. So on November the 6th, I ask that you flip your ballot over, turn to the back, don't get exhausted. There are 20 races there. Scroll down, they are all on the left side, so those are the ones that are contested, and choose Tracy Davis for your next district court judge. Thanks.
Thank you. You know, I'm actually going to take this time to share something that Roz and I discovered. If you go on the county clerk's office and print off the sample ballot, it leaves some candidates and some entire races off. And that's particularly tragic where it cuts some candidates off of some races. Like you find out that for Louisville Metro Mayor, Angela Leach is running and no one else. In several of these races. So you might want to make people aware of that as well.
That's a news story, Bill.
I think it might
That's a news story.
We might be reporting on that, in fact. All right, so I'm sorry to interrupt, but I thought that was you referenced that, so I thought that was an appropriate place to bring that up. Also, since you came in late, I wanted to explain that Michelle will hold up the yellow card halfway through and the red when there's 15 seconds left. So let's ask some questions. Studies have shown that minority juveniles are confined at a disproportionate rate. What can you do to address that disparity?
Well, I think that whenever you're dealing with the juvenile justice system, that's a very important thing because we're dealing with very delicate individuals. The human brain is not fully developed until the age of 25. So when a young child tells you they don't know why they did something, sometimes that can be true. I think that being in juvenile court, you need to look at things on a case-by-case basis. I come from a background that was not privileged, so I grew up, being around children that were, if you know anything about Germantown, there was a shelter there. And we had friends who used to stay in the shelter. Well, we didn't understand that, but we knew that they had to be in the house at 7 o'clock. So we had to play kickball pretty early when we got home from school and rest of our homework. Being that that's my background and being that I'm understanding of that, I think that it's important that we try to learn the children and that we figure out why they're doing the things that they're doing. There are some children that are out there that have guns because they're scared. There are others that are out there that are committing crimes and breaking into homes because they're hungry. There are children that are faced with, being in dangerous situations and life and death situations, and a lot of times they don't have the resources that are necessary to learn and to be able to make the right decisions. And so I think that it's very important that if you don't have that background, that we get out there, that we look